Welcome to the Solid Signal Podcast for the week of August 15th, 2016. Wow, when I did my podcast last week about the Olympics coverage and how I wasn't super happy with it, I did not anticipate the sheer number of comments and people just coming out of the woodwork telling me that I was wrong, that it's an incredibly hard job doing Olympics video coverage and that I should be a little bit more reasonable and understanding of that sort of thing. Well, look, I certainly actually am, and I know it is a hard job because NBC is not only providing Olympics coverage for the U.S., but they're actually also running the Olympics broadcast service, which provides video coverage to the entire world. And while I could argue that they could have done a better job with some of their visual design because it's kind of bland there, or at least done something different for the U.S. that they do for the OBS, the Olympic Broadcast Service, that's not the point. Where I really felt the Olympics coverage fell down was in the last few inches. It's almost like Usain Bolt running the 100-meter dash and falling down at the 95-meter line and, his nose hitting the ground just inches ahead of that finish line. But I reserve a lot of my anger, a lot of my ire for the sportscasters who are trying to do a very hard job. I do completely get that, but also not doing it terribly well. When you're talking about the Olympics, you're talking about the top athletes. These are the people, even if you are the number 8 person in the 100-meter relay, that means you are the 8th fastest person out of 7 billion in the world, which really statistically means you're still the fastest person in almost any room you're going to be in, provided that Usain Bolt is not in that room. And I would just wish that we could see that same level of excellence with broadcasters. I get a lot of puff pieces about Michael Phelps' kid, and I understand there's an attempt there to try to humanize him, which I think will ultimately prove fruitless because at some point science will determine that he is not a human but in fact a swimming robot, and that is really the only explanation for him. But humanizing is really only part of these games. I think that what we need to be doing is analyzing the sports involved, really helping people to understand the technical things, which has gotten better. I've been watching, for example, a lot of diving, and they've been doing a lot more work to try to help people understand what makes a good dive and what makes a bad dive. The first couple of days it was just like, ooh, that's going to cost a lot of points, and you never really knew why. But what I would just like to see would be the, quality professional broadcasters from top to bottom doing really good reporting of the events themselves, the science behind the events, and the people who make those events possible. And yeah, look, I know that everybody wants to portray Rio de Janeiro as this wonderful place and Olympics in general as sort of this wonderful utopian village, but more than ever, Rio is not a safe place to have the Olympics. There are serious concerns, just as there were serious concerns in Beijing, environmentally speaking. And also, there are other concerns that really need to be brought to the forefront, such as apparently there's this huge crime problem, as it seems that Ryan Lochte, you probably read, was robbed at gunpoint, which just should not happen at the Olympics, and certainly wouldn't have happened if Mr. Lochte were in the pool, because it's fairly sure that he'd have been able to outrace that bullet. More to the point, if we're going to come together every 2 years to view what is supposed to be the elite of athletic competition, I think that we deserve the elite of sports reporting. And that means a performance from our reporters that is honed, that is practiced, that helps people understand, that shows experience, that shows excellence. Wouldn't you like to be able to say of any reporter who does the Olympics, they are one of the 8 best in the world? I just don't think that's going to happen. So I stand by my original podcast from last week and bring it on. I'd love to hear more comments about this week. Have a great week.